need some money.
Right.
So you started it with an MLM, a direct sales company, or network marketing, whatever you want to call it. And then this is where things get interesting. At some point you hit pause on that, and then you start a service business servicing people within the MLM organization. Is that right?
I was, number one, I had a short attention span. And so those of us that are entrepreneurial wired, which I didn't recognize it as that at that point. I had heard my parents say my whole life, if you ever just stuck to one thing for very long, you'd be great at it. Well, I didn't necessarily want to be great at just one thing. I wanted to kind of conquer this thing and then move to the next thing and then conquer the next thing. So in hindsight, I have kind of a 3 to 5 year attention span in everything but marriage and child rearing, I guess. Those are the two things I've hung in there the longest on. But I tend to tackle all the obstacles that I want to tackle, get to a point of achievement, and then I want to seek another challenge. So as entrepreneurs, that is a hard thing. We either need to resist that and find new challenges within what we already do, or we need to recognize we're restless, let's sell that, or cash out and move to something else, or hire somebody to manage it. So that was one reason. The other was we made a big life move at that point. We moved geographically. My parents moved to another country for 5 years. My two little ones, one of them had just been diagnosed with special needs. I was at an all-time high weight. I had mismanaged my money from my successful business, and I was now in debt, and I had a huge amount of depression. So it was a transition time for me. It was a natural transition. So we moved into an area that I felt like it was super saturated, that I felt like it was going to be hard to build. Now I teach that that's a myth. It's a myth, but it's what I chose to believe at the time. It's a story I wrote for myself at the time. I chose a service business because I had a degree in mass communications and I had experience with desktop design. I chose to serve that same population that I loved with my skills in a way that I felt like they were being underserved. I chose to be a virtual assistant and create a newsletter service for those people because they were dropping the ball on that. Many of them needed to be with people, not paper. And so I created that to fill a gap in the market, even though I restricted myself to the one company and to management within that company. So my potential market base was only 10,000 people.
Wow.
Only 10,000. So a lot of people say, well, you can't make real money if that's your biggest, broadest market. Not true. I mean, I'm an example of you can make a lot of money and do really well. So in 2001, started that business and had to make a choice. I could not do that and still represent my company. So I had to turn the car in, resign. That was a hard thing. It was a process, but I chose. Went and did the service business, and it was, to my knowledge, one of the first virtual service businesses of its kind. We still had dial-up internet.
Wow.
We did not have all the cloud that we have now. So file sharing, file sending, that was all, I was having to learn coding and all those kind of things. But we kind of pioneered that industry. And wow, it was an amazing journey. And I'm so thrilled at how that worked.
Let's talk about the meeting. When you go in and you say, okay guys, I want to start a newsletter service for you. I mean, how did it I just don't understand how you made that leap. Did they need it? You don't work with corporate on that. Okay. So I was serving their sales force, which are all independent contractors. Right. It would be similar to, going to realtors in the area. You wouldn't necessarily go to the broker. You would go to independent realtors or independent financial services agents. You go to the end user, not necessarily the company. Okay. The company was not involved. Now later, they did know of me. Had a random meeting with the president in the Turks and Caicos. We bumped into each other and he said, I know who you are. You're the newsletter lady. And we thought we were under the radar, know. But we went to the sales force. So what this means is I started my business like everybody does, with just who I knew. Yeah. And so I said, Kelsey, I know you're a sales director in this company, and who does your newsletter? Oh, you're doing that yourself. Don't you think that 5 hours would be better served with people instead of paper? So I sent out an email. I worked with one client for free for 2 months to get my systems down, my processes done, in exchange for her recommendation and her referrals. Okay, so last question, your number one piece of advice for just entrepreneurs, just general entrepreneurship, small business owners. Instead of worrying about what other people are making money at, or what seems to be trendy, or what seems to be hot, or what seems to be popular, how can you serve a need in the marketplace? How can you provide value? I did not love desktop publishing or newsletters.
I didn't love it. I was good at it. I didn't love it. I wasn't passionate about it. I was passionate about getting out of debt. I was passionate about being home with my kids. And I was passionate about filling a need. So I don't buy into the chase what you're passionate about and the money will follow. I believe we focus on who we're passionate about or why we're doing it. So I love to fund orphans, fund adoptions, fund change, but I can't really go work in the adoption industry and have as big of an impact as I can working in this industry and funding that, if that makes sense. So my advice is stop chasing what everybody else is doing. Stop subscribing to the latest infomercial or webinar or whatever of the new trend, trick, shiny, whatever, and just focus on what skills do you have, what service can you provide, what knowledge do you have, and how can you provide value, and then build from there. There's a big trend right now in greatness and epic and massive things, when really I think we can be okay with doing good. We can do good. Sometimes we don't have to reach for epic. I never would have imagined that I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, I'm doing right now what I was doing before, just on a smaller scale, communicating with people and making connections, serving people. I'm just now moving to bigger spaces. So I think you start with your small idea, your doable, achievable idea, and then look at ways to scale and grow from there. Instead of saying, oh, I need to be like Zuckerberg and create a Facebook. That's not what he started out doing. That's not what he intended to do. Nobody wakes up and says, I'm going to be president of the United States, or I'm going to own a software startup, or we grow into those things. So be okay with the small ideas. Be okay with how you can serve now and let it grow from there.
Grow into it.
Yes.